It's the Eagle Community Television Forum with your host, Gary Shorman.
Welcome to the Forum. I'm Mike Kerner in for Gary Shorman this week, and we've got a special guest this week on our forum. Actually, I should say two guests on our forum. We've got a first half of the show and the second half of the show. Each half has their own guest, and the first half, what I wanted to do is introduce you to our guest in the first half, Ruth Schuchman Dakotas, and she is, you are from Hays area, but you've lived in DeSoto, Kansas for quite a while.
Yes, I left Hays probably in about 1970 to go to college, back during the summer periodically, but living in the Kansas City area now most of the time.
Well, the reason why we wanted to have you on the show today is you're kind of part of this organization group that's been helping out in Kenya area, and it's a St. Anne's school that's down there. And did you help found the school, or was the school there and you found it and you're kind of helping it out now?
A friend of ours, Father Anthony, is the one who helped start the school along with Simon, and he challenged us to build a library for the school. And so we took on that challenge and started a nonprofit called Friends of St. Anne's, Kapkamich, Kenya, and we have built the library. We've built a science lab, hooked them to solar energy. Another connection, the science lab, we went to visit Thomas More Marion, and where I attended school, okay, in physics, and Father Earl Meyer, my physics teacher. And I went back there, and they donated some physics equipment for the science lab at the school, St. Anne's. So we've just been busy. Next year will be our 10th anniversary of the organization, and we now have 90-some young women and a few young men on scholarship at university and college and at St. Anne's.
Well, St. Anne's and the person you talk about is Simon, who is kind of our star guest here in the second half of the show. Simon's going to be talking to us a little bit about the background of the school, how it came about, and who the school is helping. But you've had a chance to go to this school a couple of times, or a few times in Kenya. What was your impression being from the United States and going over to Africa, Northern Africa, and seeing this? And what was your experience from the first time, second time, third time that you've been there?
I think the first impression is how friendly everybody is. Second impression was the beauty of the country and the happiness of the people and what we would consider very primitive conditions in which many of the people still live. Many of the girls would not have had a chance to go to high school without our scholarships. They would not have been able to go to high school without St. Anne's being there. We've been told that if Friends of St. Anne's had not joined the support of the school probably would not have succeeded. It would have closed. So it's a partnership, a collaboration between us here in Kansas and our donors from across the country and the people in Kapkamich.
So your impressions when you first got there from the United States, the very, very first time you got there, did you, because there's been some buildings that have and things have changed since the first time you were there.
My impressions the very first time was how simple everything was, and yet how they managed to educate these young women. They had 4 classrooms, and at that time they had probably about 120 students when I first got there. And just the dedication that these young girls had to be able to go to high school. When the school started, there were 6 young girls. They were sleeping on the floor. They had no facilities. The bathrooms there are still like our outhouses, but without the bench seat. It's a hole in the ground. That's their facilities, the young women. They have a fenced-in area, closed fence, because that's their shower area outside, and it's bucket baths. They don't have modern bathrooms at the school yet. So there's just a lot of goals that we have for our partnership with the school.
And it's not a very populated area, is it?
No, but and one of the things is it's very spread out. So within their community, Simon told us there's probably about 5,000 people. It's just, it's very spread out over the area.
And if people want to come to the clinic, or the young girls want to come, it takes them sometimes a long time to get there.
That's right. Before we had our clinic that opened in Kapkamich, the girls might have to walk 4, 5, 6 miles to get to a clinic. You're not feeling well and you have to walk that kind of distance to get to a clinic. Before we built the science lab, they had to walk several miles to a neighboring school to use their laboratory facilities. And to be able to graduate, you had to do the laboratory work, which meant that they had to walk there. If they wanted a library, they had to walk miles to get to a library. And so it was very time consuming. The girls' day starts at 5 o'clock in the morning when they get up and ends at about 9 o'clock at night.
Wow, such a long day.
It's a very long day.
And now with the dorms there, there's some dorm rooms there, and the girls can stay there. That's a chance for them not to have to walk so far, and they can get a little bit more education in.
Right, absolutely. And the reason why St. Anne's is a boarding school is for that reason, because home life for these girls is not conducive to study. You might go home, there's no electricity, so there's no light by which to study at night. There is maybe a lot of siblings that you have to help with. You have to help with the chores. There's just a lot of work that has to be done. And so when they founded the school, they made the choice to make it a day school for that reason. A boarding school for that reason.
Well, I tell you, that's kind of some of the stuff I want to talk to Simon about a little bit in the second half of the show. And I appreciate you and all you've done and for this school and helping them out and changed a lot of young girls' lives. So.
Well, thank you. It takes a team to do it. There's a lot of us working together to make this happen.
Well, very good. Thanks for joining us, and we'll come back on the second half of the show, and we're going to talk to Simon and meet this mysterious Simon, I guess.
Okay,
we'll
sounds great.
So again, we want to thank Ruth Schuchman Dakotas, and she is our guest here on the show. Again, we're talking about the Friends of St. Anne's School in Kenya. So we'll be back with Simon in the second half of the show. The show brought to you by Hayes Med. So join us in the second half of the show. I'm Mike Kerner. Thanks.
Hayes Med is your first and best choice for healthcare. They're the only facility providing tertiary level services in this region. With more than 70 physicians and 26 specialties ranging from heart, orthopedic, spine care, cancer, obstetrics and gynecology, wound care, rehabilitation and surgery, including the Da Vinci robotic surgery, Hayes Med is your comprehensive health provider for people throughout Western Kansas. Hayes Med, helping people be healthy.
Eagle Communications is your ultimate business partner. We provide business class phone with customizable features and fast, reliable internet. Your knowledgeable team at Technology Solutions has a broad base of IT services to meet your needs. Let the experts at Marketing Solutions get your message to the right people on the best platforms. The only piece missing is your business. Call Eagle Communications today at 877-61-EAGLE.
Welcome back to the Forum. I'm Mike Kerner in for Gary Shorman this week. The Forum brought to you by Hayes Med. By the way, if you've got any guest ideas, Gary would love to hear from you. It's gary.shorman@eaglecom.net. And today, our guest, somebody different this time. Simon's on with us now. Ruth, in the first half of the show, promised that Simon would come on. And really what we're talking about today is the Friends of St. Anne's School out of Kenya. And Simon, you came to the United States for your very first time when? How long ago?
2015, it's 3 years ago.
So 3 years ago.
Yeah.
So Ruth is the one that booked you the plane and told you to come over here. And,
Yeah.
and what was your experience coming here to the United States for the very first time 3 years ago?
Wow, my experience was I was very much excited, very wonderful, excited. I thought maybe found many things, many people working on food, but I just found it different from Kenya.
Oh yeah, I bet it's different from Kenya.
Yeah.
And that's kind of what we want to talk about a little bit. We want to talk about this school. Now, is the school something that you've worked at in Kenya?
Yes,
Okay, so how long have you worked at that school?
I've worked at that school for 9 years now.
Now,
So, yeah.
and how long has that school in Kenya been around?
It has been 9 years because
Okay.
we started 2009,
So you were there from the beginning of
from
this.
the beginning of the school.
And now I wanted to talk to you about the experience of the school here in a little bit from the changes that have been made since this group has been helping you out. But let's talk about the area where the school's at. From your perspective, a lot of these girls probably would have never been able to get this education in the past because so there's been a lot of changes in the last few years with this school, right?
Yeah, perfectly. I would say if it were not these people, friends of St. Anne's, to come in to assist the St. Anne's girls, many girls could not have been in school because of the culture of our people. Right from the beginning, they were totally negative towards educating the young women. They thought young women were part of family property. They were regarded as not anything. They were not supposed to be heard, but to be seen. They didn't want them to go to school. They wanted to remain at home so that they can exchange them. Because in our culture, a young woman is exchanged at a rate of 6 cows.
Wow.
So if you marry off the young girl, you get 6 cows. So they better educate the young boy, leave the girl, so that they can get the money. So because of that negative attitude, I will say, I want to thank the Friends of St. Anne's for coming in so that we can save these girls, so that they can come and bring change to show our community that a girl is equivalent to the boy. They are supposed to be offered equal opportunity of education for all.
Has that changed any? Has that perception changed any over these last few years? Is it feel like, in your sense, that because you're from that culture, do you feel that the girls are now on a more level playing field as the young boys in that area?
Wow, it's coming up now. It's coming up now because since the Friends of St. Anne's came in, we have a number of girls who have already graduated. Our first girls have already graduated. More than 32 of them have already graduated, which they have already bring an impact to the community. The community have seen that these girls can make a difference because we have several of them who are already working. They are giving voluntary services to our neighboring primary school. These St. Anne's girls, we have a girl there. The next in the clinic, we have a girl there who was sponsored by the Friends of St. Anne. So if it were not Friends of St. Anne to bring these changes so that the community can see that a girl can even perform the same way the boy can perform. So they have brought a very big impact to the community.
Since you're from that culture and you've been a teacher there for a long time, is there maybe one example that just sticks out in your mind, maybe one girl that she wanted to do it really bad, but her family was very reluctant on sending her there, but you were able to talk her through it, and you've seen this great success story from her?
Yep, I have 2 personal experiences, but let me say one.
Okay.
There's one girl who really wanted to go in to join university to do some engineering, but she didn't manage to get the scores because there are some scores in subjects that if you don't get a grade, you don't go to university. So this lady caught the marks, but when she got the admission letter, she was pregnant by then. She became pregnant before the admission letter. But what happened is this. The parents of this lady refused to take care of the baby when she delivered. They refused to take care of the baby for this girl to go to university. So they told her, no, you are not going to university. You are going to get married because you are now pregnant. That is the end of you. But the girl told the parents that, no, I am going to university. They told him, no. So if you are going to university, you are not going. So what the girl did, he decided to take care of the baby. That is, she was supposed to join university 2015. So she had to take care of the baby for 2015, 2016, 2017, until the baby was now big enough to maybe to be taken care of by somebody, a relative or the grandmother. So this year, she's now joining university. So they wanted this girl to be married because of what I told you before, of that negative attitude towards girls. They want to marry off this girl so that they can get the 6 cows. But the girl sticked that I am going to university. I have to achieve my dream. So the girl now is joining university, and this is because of Friends of St. Anne. So personally, I talked to the girl, and the girl is now in school.
So you're seeing a lot of great examples like that.
Yeah.
And it's all because of the Friends of St. Anne's.
This because of Friends of St. Anne's. A lot of examples.
Now, the girls that are going to this school, there's engineering and there's nursing. What other subjects are some of the prime subjects they can go through?
Yeah, the prime subjects mostly is teaching.
Teaching, okay.
And then we have those who are going, this one taking software engineering.
Okay.
We have information technology. We have health. And we have some taking technical courses, vocational training courses, like food and beverage, most of them. We have mechanic mechanical engineering. There's a few of them. who are
Which,
taking those.
which universities are they going to? Are they in Kenya, the universities they go to, or outside Kenya?
Most of the universities they join are in Kenya.
Okay.
Yeah, but very competitive. Very competitive.
So you see these girls going on to big success, and it's happening more and more, and because of this, we're seeing a lot more of these girls graduating and having better lives.
Wow, that is it. If they continue, if the Friends of St. Anne's can continue supporting these girls, I see the future of these girls. Most of them prospering and most of them joining university. Most of them will join university. Mostly this year and next year we shall be having many of them joining university.
Wow.
Yeah.
And the university, or not university, but your school keeps getting bigger and bigger.
Yeah.
And probably more girls hear about it and they want to come.
Many girls will probably come mostly for this reason. We are now putting up the dormitory, and this might attract more girls coming in. Because previously they were living in this makeshift dormitory, and now they are coming to a more smarter dormitory. They might attract more attention for these girls. Also, the school has performed well. The school performed position 5 out of 48 high schools in our South Nandi sub-county. And this is because of the facilities that were provided by the Friends of St. Anne's. The laboratory, the library, the solar energy, the computers. You see? So it is because of these facilities that has improved the academic performance of this school. And that is what is attracting more of these girls to come to the school, because it is now performing. You see, the school is now performing because of who? Friends of St. Anne's.
Very good. Now, if people want to donate to Friends of St. Anne's, how do they go about doing that? Do you know? Or is that a subject I should have asked Ruth?
I think that could have been the subject for Ruth. Because,
Okay.
But shortly, we have a form.
Okay.
There's a form that they fill. We have an office that I operate, I sit in, that was constructed by Friends of St. Anne.
Okay.
This office was constructed by Friends of St. Anne. They designed the form. They sent the form to me. So I usually call the parent and also the student. They come to my office, sit with me. So I analyze, ask them several questions before I award them the scholarship. So they sign this form. They write the details of some questions in this form that they have to fill.
So a little
then
process.
the parent signs, the student also has to sign. I sign the forms, forward them to the Friends of St. Anne, to Ruth, who is the president, and then the board sits down and then they approve.
Do you see tears, parents crying because they're so happy?
They're happy. They're happy.
That's,
They're happy.
that's good.
Yeah, even though sometimes because I do a lot of work, I wake up very early in the morning at 7, walk 6 miles, and then back for lunch 3 miles, and then back to the office at 3 miles, and then back in the evening 3 miles.
Great.
But I'm comfortable.
Well,
Yeah.
wow. That's a lot of exercise.
So that is why I'm young.
Okay. Well, thank you very much for being on and being our guest today. And it's good to know about these things that are happening in other countries, and good to see that there's some cultural changes that are for the good.
Yeah.
And I appreciate all that you've done, and thank you for coming on our show today. Again, we've got Simon Taurus. Did I get it right?
Simon Taurus.
Taurus, okay, I'm close enough. And we also had Ruth on too in the first part of the show. Want to thank you for joining us today, trying to enlighten you a little bit about what's happening around the world. This is The Forum. I'm Mike Kerner. The Forum brought to you by Hayes Med. Thanks for being with us today.